streets of Paris suddenly flooded with yellow poisonous fog. People who inhaled the fog would die instantly. Then more poisonous fog came from all directions. People were scared and ran away. Matthew saw the danger and turned around and ran to his home. At that moment, the fog was like a huge wave that swallowed everything. Matthew desperately ran upstairs. He grabbed his wife Anna and was about to run for his life to higher ground. But at this time in the isolation chamber of his daughter is too late to move. But fortunately, the isolation chamber could purify the air, so she was safe for the time being. Matthew could only leave his daughter Sarah inside first, although Anna still does not feel at ease. But Matthew understands that if we do not leave, it will be too late, because the fog was spreading rapidly up the building. Matthew escaped with Anna all the way to the top floor. They frantically knocked on the neighbors' doors. They came to the balcony and was instantly stunned. The whole city was about to be flooded with toxic fog. The yellow fog was like a river that covered the whole street. Fortunately, the fog did not continue to rise, so the few people on the top floor were saved for the time being. Lucien asked Matthew where the fog was coming from, but Matthew did not know anything at this time. He only knew that once people inhaled the poisonous fog, they would definitely die. When Anna heard this, she grabbed the walkie-talkie and asked Sarah. She was relieved to know that her daughter was safe. It turns out that their daughter has been suffering from severe air allergies since she was a child, so she had always lived in an isolation chamber. But the sudden appearance of toxic fog led to a citywide power outage. Once the batteries in the isolation chamber ran out, Sarah would soon die of oxygen deprivation. Matthew said he could hold his breath and go downstairs to change the batteries, but Anna thinks that this is a way to hurt herself. She doesn't agree with her husband. Matthew suddenly thought of the neighbor's house downstairs as a spare oxygen bottle, so he holds his breath and climbs in through the pipe. However, when he entered the house, he found that the neighbor had already died. At this point Matthew could not hold his breath any longer. He hurriedly held a flashlight to look around. Finally at the last minute found the oxygen bottle. He hurriedly put on the mask and breathed heavily. He did not dare to stay a moment longer. Matthew rushed downstairs to find his daughter. He brought supplies to Sarah and replaced the spare batteries with new ones. Then he went out into the street. He tried to figure out what had happened and find help, but all around him was dead silence. The streets were littered with fallen bodies. While Matthew was gathering supplies, he suddenly heard strange noises in the distance. He rushed over to check it out. It turned out to be a rescue team evacuating the survivors. Matthew went up to him and asked him, but he didn't know what this poisonous fog was. He just urged Matthew to follow the team and leave. Matthew said he had his wife and daughter at home. He begged them to come to his rescue, but due to the time constraint and the lack of extra men, they just gave Matthew a set of oxygen bottles and left in a hurry. Matthew went back to the room and explained the situation to the group. They planned to stay where they were and wait for help, but that night, Matthew suddenly found that the fog was slowly rising. It didn't take long for the fog to overwhelm the building.